Good evening and welcome to the Indie Bandits World Domination stream on Twitch and I guess on YouTube as well. My name is Jimmy and I'm here with Joe.
Good evening, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm alright. Been a long day. Long working day, hence being a bit late for this evening, but
Made it in the end.
made it in the end. Sometimes that just happens. How are you?
Yeah, good. Glad it's Friday. It's,
Yeah.
I do look forward to our streams, and I do have a couple of stories lined up. They're not as good as the big shop story, but I'm hoping they'll keep your attention for a very brief moment.
Go on then.
So, where were we last time? I could not remember what the crack on was. I mean, struggling, I think.
Yes, it's going to be a bit of an effort to try and capture like 3 cities a turn or whatever it is.
Yeah, like we're running out of time, and it's not been going as planned. And every time we thought we could consolidate, everyone decides to attack us, but the Pope doesn't let us attack them back.
Pretty much, and we're not at the strength yet where we can like put up with
Steamroll them.
Yeah, the Pope. Like you can at some point in this game you can like just tell the Pope where to go.
Yeah, once
once
it doesn't matter the consequences of his threats. Though we were trying to take a line through Central Europe, weren't we, down to Italy, and then go from there.
Was that an attack?
We were. What do we do? Right.
My lord.
Go on then, regale me with your tale.
All right, so wait, I think I had 2 stories back. I forget which one I want to tell. Anyway, there was I did have a good giggle today and refrained from what I would say is a very dangerous joke. But the lass was on an exercise bike and the seat broke, and I didn't say anything, and I totally could have, obviously. Which I thought, I didn't say anything. But, and again, this is like the 4th exercise bike we've had that's broke. It's the first time it's been the seat, to be fair. Every other time it's been like the mechanism within the bike. You know, like sometimes the gearing's gone, sometimes the pedal's gone. You know, basically it's always been like the inner workings that connect to the pedals and to the weight inside.
Right.
This time it's the seat, because we basically bought a more expensive one because we're going to get one of these ones like they have in the gym with like the big metal wheel, like the big weighted wheel at the front that's on the outside that you can see, you know, like a spinning bike, not one of these like resistant mechanisms inside. So we got one of these, so that bit didn't break. So basically the lass gets on Amazon to tell them about the crack on, and the people at Amazon are like, yeah, you got it from a third-party vendor, so you know, we'll get in touch with them. And they've got 2 days to reply. If you've ever worked with Amazon, they really like strong arm anyone on the platform into like offering like sometimes unsustainable levels of customer service for smaller businesses. But as a consumer, that's great, because you know, if you buy from like someone who isn't Amazon, that Amazon's going to basically force them to give you your money back if like shit doesn't work. So, you know, we haven't had it that long. The bike's probably under warranty. It's, you know, it shouldn't be a problem. It should just be a case of you sort it out with the manufacturer. So the person at Amazon's like, yeah, we'll send them over a thing. We'll tell them this is the crack on.
Okay.
Basically, the vendor just decides to be an utter arsehole. We haven't even said anything to the vendor yet. The vendor just decides to be an utter arsehole, and the reply is like, the first message from them is like, there is no chance of you getting a refund on this thing. Don't know what Amazon's told you. Like, super on the defensive. Like, we haven't even suggested anything. Like, the lass has just said, like, they've just got the message passed on from Amazon, and then they are like straight on the defensive, and the lass is like, yeah, all right, just wanted to know like where we stand. Like, no need to be a dick about it. So like, well,
Nice.
obviously they fucked up for the weekend, but I'm like, God, this is your first point of contact with a customer, and you're immediately like, it wasn't like, hi, Amazon's passed over your details. They said there's a problem with the product you bought. Can you tell me more? It was like, you bought this ages ago, so there's no way you're getting a refund from us. We're like, in caps, by the way, it was like, no way you're
In
getting a refund.
caps
We're
as
like,
well. Fantastic.
yeah, it's like,
'Cause as we all know,
because like,
caps means you're yelling at someone.
well, yeah, and the thing is like the last was like, God, these people are assholes. So and I'm like, hang on, because, and I've been in this situation before. Sometimes people like put a voice on written text, and it comes across as really arsey. You get me? Like, you can read a text in any voice. There's an excellent Key and Peele skit where they're texting each other.
Yes,
And
yeah,
one of
yeah.
them's reading the skit out. One of them's reading all the text messages out in an aggressive tone.
Yeah,
and
I
the other
remember
one's
that
reading
one, yeah.
the aggressive text out. It's very good. But so the last was saying that, and I'm like, oh, hang on. Like, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, and I'm gonna come over and try and read this message in a friendly voice, and there's just no way to do it. Like it I'm like, what also? So we'll see how that goes. It's good. It's gonna be interesting, but you know, do like, follow, and subscribe for updates on this ongoing saga, because I can
if there's
tell
one
this is
thing
not
you
going
need
to
to subscribe
this is not
for.
going to be smoothed out
Yeah.
in a matter of moments.
You want to hear about this?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So I feel I've got an upcoming fight with a third party vendor on Amazon coming up, and which is weird because, well, I'm thinking that they're gonna back down once they realize that Amazon won't let them do shit to us, because that's just the way Amazon, you know, whether right or wrong, that's the way Amazon treats vendors. You know, in previous lines of work, I had to manage the Amazon side of a business, and like it's tough. Like, you kind of like, for some places you have to be on Amazon, right? Like, you know, you can't
Yeah.
not have a premise in on Amazon. It would generate so much business for some retailers. However, for smaller retailers, Amazon expects like a standards of service that are sometimes not
Bit
really
unrealistic.
attainable. Unrealistic. The problem is that basically every customer through Amazon gets preferential treatment, and businesses might have to let direct customers and, you know, other channels for sales fall by the wayside, because they've got to respond to the stuff by Amazon, or Amazon basically kicks your ass for not getting back to customers in time and not doing this and not doing that. So we'll see. But, you know, I feel their pain, but don't be a dick straight off the bat with message number one. It's just not on.
Yeah, start off cordial and then work
We
your way
turned
up
around
to
and went,
rage
right,
after
you
that.
dickheads. Right, you dickheads. What we want is 1 million new bikes sent over. Then I'd be like, they could be like, don't speak to me like that. That's uncalled for. That would be fair. But don't start on that. We hadn't even contacted them yet. Like, you almost want to be like, I'm fine, and how are you? It's madness, though. I had something else really mundane and boring going on in my life, and I can't remember what it was.
Ooh,
Did have some nice crepes for dinner, though. It's not... wasn't as big a deal as the Amazon saga, but...
crepes always good.
Mm-hmm. Well, not to be technical. Well, I'm going to be technical, actually. I'm saying not be technical. What? Technically, they were galettes, because they were made with a different kind of flour.
Ooh,
Slightly savory.
Get you with your different type of flour.
They're good, though. They're good if you can get some. I think in English it's called buckwheat flour, but it's like a darker flour. And in Brittany, they make these kind of crepes known as galettes, and they're very good for like savory stuff. They're not as sweet as like your standard crepes. So if you can find yourself some buckwheat flour, or sarasan, I think it's called. Sarasan or buckwheat. It's oh, you're lactose intolerant though. I don't. There's just take loads of enzymes and give these a go.
I will do. Sometimes it's worth taking some pills for
Sometimes it's worth
higher
soiling your.
quality stuff.
So you know what though, like, look, I'm sure it's a ball ache, like lactose intolerance. But you're not the first person to eat something knowing it'll make you shit yourself and just go, it's fine. You know what?
I'll deal with
Like,
it later.
That's most of the decisions I go through when making meals, because there's so much stuff I like that I'm like, oh man, I enjoy the first phase of this meal, but I don't like the consequences later. And I often, sadly, future Joe has to deal with the decisions of presential Joe. I tell you what, I do remember my second boring story, and I'm going to tell you it.
Go on then.
This week we've been having loads of problems with our Wi-Fi, with the just like every device in the building like cutting out and the Wi-Fi not working, and like hard resetting the router, hard resetting the like repeaters. I think they're called repeaters. The like extra devices that repeat the Wi-Fi signal and stuff like that.
Right.
And honestly, it's just been like multiple times throughout the week. Like the lass is working from home this week, so she's been like, the internet's gone again. I'm like, right, I'm on it.
Joe's on the case.
I'm on the case with my. The worst thing about the internet going is you can't then go on the internet to look up your solution, which is how I solve everything. I feel like you don't. I think we've had this discussion before. You don't need to know anything anymore. You just need to know how to find the answer to the thing you don't know.
Yeah.
That's the world we live in. You just need to be resourceful. You don't actually need to be good or gifted at anything once you know the right places to find the answers. But you can't do that when your internet's out. So if you're in a situation with no internet, essentially everyone's stupid. So we're fumbling around trying to work out what to do, and the solution is obviously just restart everything and hope that works. I know a handful of commands and shit like that, and logging in like the back end of the router to see what's going on and not understanding any of it. And I went to sit down and play a bit on the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
In docked mode, because Metroid Dread's out, and I bought it a couple of weeks ago, and it's class, and it's like, it's a game I've been waiting like 30 years to play, essentially, since Super Metroid. I'm like 2D Metroid, well, 2 and a bit D, whatever. I want to play it, sit down to play it. Internet's out again, oh fuck's sake, whatever. I do not know why, but when my Nintendo Switch is turned on, nothing on our Wi-Fi works. And I was like, wait, what? I turned the Switch on, and then we're like, running speed tests, and the page isn't loading. And then I'm like, second I turn the Switch off, like the actual second I hit the power button on the Switch, every device that was trying to connect to a web page suddenly is able to reconnect to it.
Weird.
And I don't know the technical ins and outs of why this is, but basically, my Switch being on the network fucks everything up. That's what happens it's like, this has been happening all week, and it's every time. And like, I put 2 and 2 together, I'm like, oh god, yes, like every time throughout the week.
Good old Nintendo.
The lasses went, the internet's gone out again. It's when I've sat down to play Metroid Dread. That's when it's happened. every time without fail. And every time I've kind of been like, all right, I'll look into it. I'll restart the router and all this crack
Our
on.
enemy's ladders have
And she's like,
reached
"You
our
not noticed the
walls.
internet's out?" I'm like,
It's
"No,
time
no,
for
I'm just sitting down to play Metroid Dread." Like this has happened all week, and I still don't know why it is. So, for the time being, I've got to hope no one's like streaming anything or using the internet when I want to sit down and play on the Switch. Or I'm guessing I'll have to put like the Switch into flight mode so it doesn't attempt to connect to my router and like wreck everything on every device that's connected to it. And it's such a surreal problem that it's quite hard to find a solution to. Because when you search for this kind of weirdly specific thing, you get all the results like, I can't connect my Switch to the internet. And I'm like, the Switch connects fine. It just happens to stop every other device connecting and messes up some like DNS settings. I don't know if I like need,
Our men
if it's
are
like
winning the
causing
battle.
conflicts or
If we
some
continue
technical
like
shit
this,
I don't
we
know
will
about.
smash
But
the enemy.
yeah, it's been like an utter dick every time I try. Like, but like to the second, it is literally
That is weird.
like if someone had badly like wired your house and you had this like one light switch that like didn't seem to do anything in the room that you were in but turned all the lights off elsewhere. It's like, it's so weird. Like the second when the Switch connects to the router, it clearly tells the router to do some shit that stops everything else working. So I'll be having like one of those like fun afternoons where you just like troubleshoot technical bollocks and you try like whatever variation works, like holding your phone high up when you want signal or something like that, because it worked once, so you do it for the rest of your life. I'm gonna find like a way that works, and it'll be like, right, but I have to stand in this corner of the room, holding up like the roll of tinfoil and whatever, and that's the perfect situation that worked one time. So we'll see how that goes. Updates next week on that and the Amazon saga. That's been
Updates next
my
week on the
Friday.
stream.
Anyway, how was your week? Who have you been fighting with? Nintendo or
I
Amazon?
haven't had any major problems with Switch devices and internet, so
we will smash the enemy.
other than that, just a regular week, really. Work.
You should
Nothing massively
check your
exciting.
privilege.
Nout crazy.
Blast their eyes. The enemy's ram is through our gates.
Nout crazy. Trying to stop the Spanish from taking over Carnarvon for the millionth time. I think if anything we've done, if anything's a success that we've managed to do, it's to stop these guys taking Carnarvon. Oh my god, can you like...
Good tidings. The enemy general
Why do they
lies
want it
dead.
so bad?
We've sent the
I don't know.
You know?
I really wish they'd like... What's it called again? Nope. We'll just go chase them. What's it called again? The tracking, like when they just don't charge properly.
Is it tracking or pathfinding?
Pathfinding. That's it.
No, I don't know. I don't know the technical shiz.
We'll get him.
The enemy are badly bloodied. They have lost half their men.
Ordered. Oh, you know what? I do have a big shop story as well, because we did the big shop online for the first time ever, and I enjoyed it because I didn't get what I call the survey, and this is every time we go to the supermarket, and I basically get like a questionnaire from the lass about whether or not we want certain items.
Right.
To which I always respond, if you want it, put it in the trolley and we'll buy it. And if I want something, I'll put it in the trolley and we'll buy it. And if it's on the list, put it in the trolley and buy it. Like, that's it.
It's the only, yeah.
That's like, they're the parameters that need to be followed to do the shopping. So, I do get me back up after like the 30th time of being asked whether I want something, where I'm like, you don't need to ask me. Like, please stop asking me. So I didn't, with shopping online, took that all out of the equation. Because
also the browsing, like constant
left it to it.
browsing. Like
I
I like
don't
to get
browse,
in
I
and
know
get
where
out
everything
of
is.
what I want.
Oh.
That's it. That's all I want to do in the shop. I don't want to
just
browse.
like I just like an aisle weave. The first time I go to a
George,
supermarket,
save us.
it's a bit
The
messy
enemy
because
have
I
the
don't know
walls.
like the layout. But
Our
after I've been a
defense
couple of
all will be
times,
lost.
I start at one side and just weave in and out of every aisle until I'm done. You know, and take stuff I want and put it in the trolley and buy it, and don't take stuff I don't want. So yeah, got the big shop in through an order, and some like guy brought it to the door, and I'm like, nah, don't like this. It felt more annoying putting the stuff away. Like that's without a doubt the least favorite part of doing the shop is when you get home and you have to put all the shit in the cupboards and the fridge and all that. Like I hate it to such an extent that I try and like pre-plan it as it goes on the conveyor belt at the till.
Yeah.
So like I try and put things like, you know, I
Organize
I
the
mentally
packaging.
exactly I mentally map out where everything goes in the house and then try and put stuff so it's all together. And if it's going across multiple bags, I also do the same. So it's like, this is the fridge bag, this is the freezer bag, this is X cupboard bag, this is, you know, this is bathroom shit. Like I hate that so much, and it just felt worse because I don't know, some guy just like dropped a load of shit off that I had to put away. Like when you've done the shop yourself, you're like, you know that you've got all this stuff and brought it home. But when some guy rocks up and basically makes you put away all the shopping, it's like when I'm back home and my mom makes us do the same thing. Like she gets the shopping in, I kind of want to be like, I don't live here anymore. You know, if I enjoyed the benefits of living in this house, I'd put the shopping away then. Why aren't my brothers doing this? The ones who still live there. So yeah, some random bloke drops off your shopping that you've ordered online, and then you have to put it away. I'm like, thanks, dickhead. I know it's for me, but could you not have also put it away? I feel that should be part of the service.
Pay an extra couple of quid.
I actually would. I'd just be like, mate, I'll tell you where everything goes, and you just do it. Like, here's my fridge, but actually no, because it would be I've got shelves as well. It annoys me when like the dairy shelf has like lunch and meat on it. I'm like, that's not the right shelf. Eggs and dairy go on this shelf. Meat goes on the meat shelf. Then I have my favorite shelf, which I call the carb shelf, which is where I like keep beer and pizzas. It's the best. It's the best shelf in the fridge, without a doubt. It's like S tier fridge shelf.
Pro League shelf.
Sorry?
The Pro League shelf.
Oh, yeah. It's like the European Super League of fridge shelves. Like, it was met with some outrage because it doesn't follow the rules of the other shelves. It has its own rules, and it's excellent. It's just all the best products just get their own shelf in my
All the
fridge.
best products, all the time.
Yeah, whether or not.
You want them.
You know, it's so they don't have to mess around with the other products. Like, the beer shouldn't have to, like, slum it with the juice. And the pizza shouldn't have to, like, I don't know, decide whether it wants to be a meat pizza or a vegetable pizza or a dairy pizza. Like, it doesn't belong there, so it goes on the super shelf, the carb shelf of just beer and pizza.
Beer.
That said, it's Friday night, so it's fairly deplete, which means tomorrow I have to go and get.
But surely the beer and pizza shelf should be full for Friday night, Joe.
Well, the problem is,
if we continue like this, we will
there are other days in the week leading up to Friday where I also like to have beer and pizza. In my head, yeah, it was stocked for Friday night, but the mouse got into it, I guess.
Behold how our this is a
The mouse
clear
that likes to have a beer or two and a pizza during the week.
That wasn't me.
glory, honor, victory.
Who's a ghost? It's a spooky ghost.
Oh, come on!
That's not happening in the fridge.
My liege, we must make a stand. We are besieged.
Who's at us now? What are they? What's their
Portugal.
deal, and why won't they leave us alone?
We come
Just want to be left alone. Oh, they want me to pay them a fortune to have an alliance with them. Oh, after all this faffing you've been doing and annoying you've been doing.
Don't we have tons of wedge though?
We do. But I don't want to do that.
But would that not give us a? I don't know.
No, it wouldn't stop everyone from bloody attacking us, I don't think.
It would stop one people, right? Does it? No, how it doesn't work like. I don't know how it works because in Civ you get like an alliance means that like if someone attacks them, you're in a war with them, and vice versa.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, does that mean
I'll give them 3.
anyone who attacks us is anyone who attacks us is automatically at war with them?
No. Well, maybe, yeah. It would probably stop them from...
That's why I was kind of thinking it might be like...
Yeah, but then we wouldn't be able to just buy relentless amounts of soldiers to kill everybody.
Yeah, it might be worth just doing that instead.
Aye, sire. Ships ready.
So... Right. Jesus, man.
Fleet ready, sire. Aye, sire.
Right, what are we doing?
I mean, I'm going to
In the
guess
boat, sire. Orders.
getting attacked
By
by
your command.
some
Yes,
medieval
sire.
European power,
Break off the siege.
Yes, we are.
Joining the others, sire.
despite having never instigated any of that shit.
Yep. Alright, let's kill these guys.
I shall lead our forces into battle, my lord.
I'm sure there was a Stephen Taylor at our school. Not the same one, but... if there wasn't, I mean, like, Taylor is such a common name, and so is Stephen.
It is. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Stephen Taylor at your school.
Not our school, the one we were both at, is there
Oh.
not?
I don't know. I don't,
There were other Taylors, I'm guessing.
Well, there was Tinker Taylor, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, and, Candlestick Maker, is that it? No, what's it? What's the expression? Taylor.
You're thinking of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. That's what I
That's
was
the
going
game. No, there's an expression, I think.
for. Butcher, Baker, Candlestick Maker.
That's the one I'm thinking of, thank you. I would have, So what's... is there anything... Oh, there's an author as well. An author, there's a book. That's the word, a book. Tinker Tailor, Soldier, Spy. TV series as well.
And a movie.
Yeah, the movie I'd heard of. It's quite old, 10 years old, that film now.
Alright.
Yeah.
Right, everybody run. However, let's get this over with.
What are the tree icons?
It means they're hidden.
Ah.
But there would be for long. Right, go scout a little bit and you go over here.
Yeah, I also saw, I think it was today, I'm losing track of days now, the, shit, what's it called? Do you know that, like, Nintendo Switch being made by Steam? Steam Deck? Is it called Steam Deck?
Right, yeah.
Apparently that's been delayed, so I can imagine the people working on that have already received all their death threats.
Obviously.
Because, you know, that's how the internet works.
Yeah, it's the only reasonable response.
So, yeah, that was trending earlier on Twitter. Well, Valve was trending earlier on Twitter, and I was having a look at it, and then obviously a lot of it was about Valve, the games company and all that crack on. But I saw the occasional stuff that was just about Valves, which is always fun. Like, just, you know, you just scroll through stuff which is just like,
someone just actually talking about
here's
valves.
the Steam Deck. Oh well, like some was like, here's some open heart surgery as we replace the valve, and I'm like, no.
I thought you meant like even more boring valves, like
Oh, they're
like
in there as
plumbing
well.
valves or something.
Oh yeah, there was that too. But there's like,
That's the sort of valve I'm here for.
yeah, it's like, yeah, I like a good like plumbing valve. Right
doesn't?
angle valve or something. I don't know.
Who doesn't?
Hey, what though? Do you remember marble runs? Those toys that were just like loads of little different like plastic pieces and tubes, and you'd like put them together and you'd put a marble at the top of it, and it would just follow the path you'd built to like the bottom of it. Like normally like plastic, you know, it was like a little track for a marble to run along that came
Right.
in like various bridges. Do you remember those? Because they were fucking class. If you
Drawing a
saw
blank.
one, you'd be like, ah, yeah, those are dope. Like, they were just like loads of little like plastic bridges that would stack on top of each other that you could build into a kind of track for a marble to descend down. So they were always like slightly higher at one end than the other, and there was like an entry bit and then a bit it would drop out at the other end of it, and then it had like sections that were like pipes and spinny helter-skelter bits, and you know, like a water wheel that the marble would run
The
through.
battle is very much in our
And they were
favor.
like,
If we remain true and
I don't know, like
steadfast,
building
victory will
toys,
be ours.
like not quite Lego or what's the metal one called? Like metal Lego? No, I don't mean like metal music.
Uh,
Not Connects, because that was plastic as well.
Meccano?
Meccano, yeah. Like all that shit. I fucking love that stuff. Like just building toys, just shit you could fuck around with for hours, and then like, then you'd have to like destroy whatever it is you made to tidy it up. Like, quite. I think that's the kind of thing adults need to be playing with, like something that doesn't have any permanence. Because I don't think we're very, you know. I think there's a lot of grown-ups who would struggle with the notion
Our
of
men are
loss.
winning the
Do you know what I mean?
If we
Like
continue
the
like
idea
this,
that
we will
you'd spend
smash the
hours
enemy.
on something, and then it's just like, now you have to smash it to pieces and put it away. Sorry. Like the plot of the Lego movie. You seen the Lego movie? It's an old
I
one,
did,
right?
yeah.
Do you remember like the whole deal was like he had all this Lego and he just built it to the specifications and then glued it together, and then it was like, that's it, and just basically turned Lego into like collectibles. Like,
You know what? I do not remember that much about it.
I watched it not too long ago. It's a good film. It's yeah, like Will Ferrell, the dad guy, is basically it's like his kid playing with the Lego. Spoiler alerts for the Lego movie that came out like
But that's
7 years ago.
People watching this will be like, "Oh man, I'm looking forward
God
to some
damn it!
non-spoiler
God
related
damn it,
chat."
Indie Bandits, where you're ruining the Lego movie. I think there's like 4 of them out now anyway, but it was like, yeah, that the like dad character wouldn't let his son play with the Lego because he'd like built all these sets
The battle
and
is
he had
very
them
much
like
in our
built
favor.
properly.
If we remain true
And the kid wanted to,
steadfast,
like,
victory will be ours.
Mess all the bricks up and build like crazy shite.
2 rights.
And yeah, and that's sort of the point, like going like, yeah, you meant to build crazy shit and like smash the stuff up and then like do mad nonsense with it. And like, I think adults need to have more of that, because we seem to get, like, imagine if you told like a grown ass adult who'd like,
The
I
enemy
don't
are
know,
badly bloodied. They have Our men are winning the battle.
was
If we
collecting
continue like
collecting
this, we will
something or
smash the
making
enemy.
something that like they'd have to spend like 4 or 5 hours making it, and then it would be destroyed at the once they were done. Like, I think they'd have a hard time with that. But as kids, that was just like part and parcel of like playing with anything vaguely creative.
Yeah.
Like you'd just make some shit, and then it would be time to tidy it up, and then that's it. You just deal with it. You know, I had a box of, like, you know, I had the box of Lego, and that's all I'd do. You know, you'd spend an afternoon building loads of shit with all the stuff you had, and then you'd be told, right, pack it all up back in this box. You know, you'd try and save some sections, but stuff was gonna have to be like broken up to fit back in the box. So even if you'd made like a solid foundation for a car or some shit, you knew you were gonna have to take all the wheels off and the like roof.
The rest of his army. The enemy army flees the
Okay.
field. Pursue and run them down. All of Christendom will be
Smash them. Smash everybody. This is a smash stream.
I don't call it that.
Yes. Glorious victory is ours, sire. My lord.
Oh my god, man. Just let us be.
To battle it is,
I'd love that at the UN.
Glorious
The UN meeting, and they're like, we need to discuss the conflict here. Someone's just like,
Fleet ready, sire.
oh, just let us be, man.
Just stop being a
Ships ready.
an arse.
Naval forces. Fleet ready, sire.
Milky Joe.
Fine day
Man's
to
an
fight.
ass.
Just talks about Sartre. The man's an ass. Oh man, that's
Stop
a
talking
good,
about Sartre. What a weird.
such a good show.
Sire. Sire. My lord.
I feel we mentioned the bush
Sire.
Le
quite
Bouche.
regularly on this stream.
Le Bouche.
Tried whipping them, sire, but the men are spent.
What are you? Let's have a unit of you in, and go on, why the hell not? We'll take them.
Leave, blasphemous Ausländer.
What do we do up here?
Hail, my king. My lord. We shall continue tomorrow, my liege.
Uh-oh. Poop. They might rebel.
You left the door open.
Haven't left the door open, but that's not going to be any good. Well, we'll take Vilnius.
Is that the capital of Estonia? No.
Yeah, I think it is.
IRL? No, that's Tallinn.
Oh, what about
Lithuania then?
Or It's not Latvia, is it?
It's Lithuania.
Lithuania.
Estonia's Tallinn. Lithuania's Vilnius. Latvia's Riga.
Ah, Riga.
We've got Riga, right?
Yeah, although they may rebel next turn.
Feel bad for Tallinn. Then they did not get a feature in this game, right?
Don't think so.
Oh, poor Tallinn.
Orders.
Stop trying to excommunicate us, man. Leave us alone.
Ships ready.
Even that in a UN meeting. Not that do they? Oh no, I guess they let the Do they let the Pope? Not the Pope. I mean, some representative from the Vatican must. Is the Vatican a member of the UN?
I have no idea.
I'm looking it up. Has to be done. It's important. No, it's not a member of the United Nations. But it has a permanent observer status, which is a funny status for the Holy See to have. Observer status. Brilliant.
Burn him.
Name the blasphemer.
What? That was a 95. That was a XCOM moment there. There we go.
Just a classic RNG Shaftsier moment.
God's servant.
We didn't burn him.
An order. Come and face the might of the Reich, my king.
Our brains aren't set up for
The enemy lays siege,
RNG
sire.
moments that
We
don't
must
work in
prevail.
favor of the actual stats, though.
No.
Like humans are not well equipped to do any kind of maths, really. Like we understand it, but
Sire. An order.
like our lizard brains
We
don't.
shall
Our lizard
slaughter
brains
them,
don't
my lord.
get like big numbers or anything
Besieging
like
the
that,
cowards, my liege.
and cannot react to them.
Patiently awaiting to breach and butcher, sire.
Remember the lizard brain in
My lord.
Disco.
Disco, yeah.
Disco Elysium?
Man, that's a good game.
As you wish.
Yeah,
Aye, sire.
mind that that Game Boy version. Did you play any of it, or did you
I
just
played
look at it? The one shared in the WhatsApp.
A little bit,
uh,
yeah, but I just kind of thought, like, I just couldn't understand the point of it. I mean, not taking anything away from, you know, it being obviously an impressive feat, but just didn't get the point.
I think it's more one of these things that it's impressive for being done rather than
Hail, my
what it
king.
is, if that makes
Yes,
sense.
my
You know, like when people like make a picture
Hail,
out of
my
like
king.
thumbtacks or something, you know what I mean? Or like,
Sire. Sire.
you know, when you like see the people who draw something with like individual dots, and you're like, oh my god, that's such a time-consuming skill. Just draw the picture. Like, it's only impressive if you watch it being done in like an
Yeah.
Instagram video. After that, you're like, oh well, we could have got a dot matrix printer to do that for us, and it would look the same. It's impressive that you can do it, but like the technical ability required to do it is what's impressive, not necessarily the final product. Some cases it can be both, but I think the
The enemy has
the
surrounded
balance of power was leaning on the former rather than the latter when with that Disco Elysium for Game Boy remake thing. It was very much like, good effort, mate, whoever did it. Like, you've done well, but we wouldn't buy this game. It's like what you've done is you've stripped Disco Elysium of some of its finest qualities and sort of turned it into a meme.
There'll be no escaping us now. Attack!
Yeah, I just, yeah. If I'm going to replay that game again, it's going to be the actual game. It's not going to be...
I don't think that's the full game remade as well. I think I think this was more of an exercise in seeing that they could do it. You know, it's like, what's it called in art when you, like, draw someone else's art just to, like, practice doing it? Not a case study. Is it a study? Just
It's
a study?
yeah.
So I think it was more that. I think the idea was they were like, I want to set myself the challenge of making something and coding something for the Game Boy, but I don't want to waste time thinking about what it is. So I'll just take something and remake it for Game Boy.
Yeah.
I think that's more the purpose. I think it was something that they could put on their CB, and they were like, oh, we just, I just decided to use Disco Elysium as my inspiration for something to program for the Game Boy to show that I can, like, I guess, overcome certain challenges and also work within technical restraints. Yeah, just to manifest ideas in the Game Boy engine.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think. I mean, it was available for free. I don't think they're. It doesn't exist as a product to be sold. So,
No.
I think in that respect, it's a success. I mean, if they were selling it, you'd be like, I'd certainly be like, why?
Excusez-moi.
I don't know if I could replay that game as well. I know it is ultimately replayable because there are so many
I'd like to go
different
back to
options.
it with, especially with the voice acting having been added to it.
Oh yeah, they did that re-release updated director's cut thing, didn't they? It's yeah. The only issue I'd have with it is that there are like so many games out there, and that one's really long, which is good. I like games to be long. I also like short games. I'm not gonna like cry about a game being like an hour and a half long if it's good, but it's a big commitment, and with so much other stuff to like play and get through, I feel like I'd have to be in like a very specific mood to go back to it, because I definitely feel guilty for not having tried something new as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can't remember exactly how many hours it is, but it's in the tens of hours.
I think it was 30, 35 hours or something for me to complete that.
Yeah. So it's a decent sized commitment if you are to.
Oh, it is.
Go
I
back to it.
absolutely loved it though. I think that was my
It
my
was
game
an
of the year
excellent
that year.
game. I can't remember what year it was out, but I'm looking at it. 2019. Oh, you know why? You know why it wouldn't be? I know why it wouldn't be my game of the year.
Why?
Because, if I'm not mistaken, now I'm looking up the wrong thing. I'm thinking that Outer Wilds came out that year as well, 2019, and
Yeah, you really liked that, didn't you?
I did. You played it with mouse and keyboard, and it
I
didn't
had
work
the
right,
wrong
but
experience with it. Yeah.
that is a game that like I would literally tell anyone, like it's the Breaking Bad / The Wire of games for me, where you just have to tell everyone about it, and you're like, you have to play it, but then you don't want to hear what they think about it, because it could shatter your well, it wouldn't change my opinion, but you know what I mean. It's like,
I know what you mean.
it's one of those things where you'd be like, you'd hate to recommend it to someone and them not enjoy it, but it's like, I wish I don't even want to recommend it to people. What I want is to have their experience of playing it for the first time again. That's like, I don't think that game is really that replayable. It is like a journey of discovery, solving puzzles, and once you've solved all the puzzles, that's it. I think the game can technically be completed in 10 minutes.
All right.
If you know what to do, because do you remember it has this time loop thing in it? So basically, like, every X number of minutes, the whole solar system's destroyed and you start from scratch. But the thing is, it kind of works like a like a roguelike, where you actually, you the player,
We are victorious.
will retain your memories of what happens during that time. So it's it's kind of like trying to break the cycle, Groundhog Day style.
Right.
So basically, once you know the solution, then the whole game can be solved in like 10, 20 minutes.
Such is the fate of all who oppose
But
us.
that like journey of discovery,
Victory! Nothing
and
can stop us, sire.
you know,
Victory!
the fact that you've got to like
These
work out
people
what you
now
can get done
kneel before us,
in
my lord.
that limited amount of time. Sometimes you're like, oh, I've taken too long. The loop's gonna start again.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that like many games offer, that kind of just like
Your will, sire.
eureka moments. I think more games need to do that. I mean, Disco Elysium had like,
I will not waste words with
it had a few of those where you were like, I know who to go to, and now I need to say that to him. And the second someone gives you some new information, you go, right, now I know, now I can go here and I can go speak to that person, and they'll probably have the information. Like when you put two parts of a puzzle together in a game, it's like a very satisfying experience for the player.
Yeah.
And like Disco Elysium had that, but Outer Wilds had that, like, had a more like Metroidvania vibe to it, not in the sense that like you build up powers or anything like that, but this kind of like really like lonely experience,
my lord.
which like I like. I've liked that kind of thing since Super Metroid, where you just like you plonk down and you have a runabout and you're on your own, and that's it. And you're just on your own and you're exploring and you're working stuff out, and you go somewhere and you try something and it doesn't work, and then you work something out and then you can go try something again. And it's it's just you with a very complicated puzzle box, and you're just like slowly solving it.
Continuing tomorrow, sire.
And like that's kind of my vibe. Whereas like Disco Elysium is not social, but there's so much dialogue, and
Yeah.
that similar kind of mechanics, working stuff out, piecing stuff together, but you're doing it socially. You're choosing dialogue options, you're listening to people speak, and I guess it's kind of a
Yes, your highness.
introvert extrovert, kind of two sides of the same coin, I guess.
Yeah.
If
God's servant.
and going off the kind of notion that like
Wishes you dead.
the idea of being introverted and extroverted is that social interaction like gives you energy. And I don't mean in like the spiritual sense, I mean that you feel like refreshed from social interaction. And being introverted is that you feel refreshed from like solitary pursuits, which sounds gross when I say it like that, but you know what I mean. It's like, an introvert it doesn't mean they don't like speaking to people. It means that social interaction like consumes energy.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of like a lot of social interaction, an introvert will feel more tired and like drained, whereas an extrovert will be like buzzing from the social interaction. I feel that like Outer Wilds is like you sit on your own for a bit, and if you like that kind of thing, you're gonna feel like really amped up after it. You're like, yes. Whereas Disco Elysium, on the other hand, would be like, if you like the social interaction, you're gonna feel like really amped up after playing Disco. It's same thing, but whether you're like speaking to people or not, or hearing people speak, especially with the director's cut now that it's got voice acting, which was excellent in it.
Yeah, but now like everybody in every line is been added,
Well,
hasn't
that's what I said when we did our special podcast episode on it. I think that was one of our like major complaints. It's either like we were like either voice act everyone or voice act no one. I personally didn't like the halfway house because
we must defend the gates.
I think if I recall, it was just that like my brain would give more credence to the people who had a voice. You know, when you were playing it, you were like, well, they're a voiced character, so they must be important. And I should just like skim over the dialogue of the people who aren't voiced, because the devs didn't think they were important enough to have a voice. I think I'd play it completely differently with them all voiced as well, because I would listen to everyone.
Yeah.
Equally.
Yeah.
I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking that was a class game.
It was ridiculously good. Like such a well-written story and
that's it. Yeah.
really memorable characters. And, yeah.
I loved the whole kind of the culturally ambiguous setting of it all.
Yeah.
I love this kind of, it exists in a world where our cultures exist, but they clearly didn't interact with each other in the same way. So the idea that it was like it was Asian and European at the same time, it was like Eastern and Western Europe at the same time. There was a lot of this like sort of a Star Warsy vibe to it, wasn't it? With the like, you know, like the cantina, like it felt like a holy shit. It was like, it feels familiar, but it also feels really alien because I don't know what cultures anyone belongs to, and it also doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So like this uncanny valley of like cultural familiarity and also like alienation. Like I don't feel, and I think that was part of the game, isn't it? You're not supposed to feel like you fit in with any of it, and it's in the middle of a war, right? So it's like,
or it's just after one or something.
Yeah, it's just a. Yeah, it was very like. That was the biggest like Eastern Europe kind of vibe, wasn't it? The kind of like post-war recovery, like.
Yeah.
Definitely had a sort of like behind the Iron Curtain feel as well, but also everyone's from everywhere and everyone speaks different languages, and also they don't like the language consistency was like all over the shop, wasn't it? Like people just say like random shit in random languages for fun, like Highlander or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like you could just tell how much time they put into every aspect of it. Like there wasn't a character that didn't have some like well thought out backstory or you know.
That's the thing really with that kind of with that genre of game, though, isn't it? It's like you have to do it so well. Like, if any corners are cut in terms of like the world and the characters, it's very difficult to get right.
Yes.
Like, unless you have unless it was like a very contained adventure, like, you know, if you're not going to flesh out an entire world and every single person living in it, then you can't really make a game like that, because no one wants to like walk into like the Morrowind like Morrowind and Oblivion, like, and all these people who are just like, you know, arrow to the knee people. Like, you don't want to explore that world. Like, and I love the Elder Scrolls games, but a lot of the people are like filler. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the people who occupy this world are filler, and of course they are. But like, no one in Disco
Only
Elysium
half
was
the enemy
filler.
force remains.
Everyone seemed pretty fleshed out, at least to the amount they needed to be to occupy this world.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
the amount that you were going to have to speak to them. But like,
Seems like-
yeah, like I don't envy the people making these kinds of games. Like if if you're making like any kind of like what would you class it as, like a CRPG, isn't it? But if you like if you're doing anything like that, and it's gonna be like murder mystery or something where you've got to talk to all the characters, like either commit to fleshing everything out to an insane degree like they did, or just don't bother. Like, do a different genre or go for something else.
Yeah.
Obviously, you could just build like a regular, like some kind of like just a regular RPG that has these kind of like flat
Battle is very
NPCs
much
and the
in our
shopkeeper
favour.
and
If
whatever,
we
but
remain true and steadfast,
Yeah, because that still
victory
worked
will be
for
ours.
it still works for
Oblivion
a
and
lot of different
Morrowind.
games.
Like, people really enjoyed those games and they weren't done to the same degree.
No, but they weren't necessarily that much about talking to people either, were they? Like, mechanically, that wasn't what they were about.
No.
They were about walking around and doing whatever you wanted. Like, the whole Elder Scrolls games are like, here's the main quest. Do you want to ignore it for 60 hours? Cool. We'll find something for you to do. $50% off, by the way, at the minute. The Disco Elysium Final Cut.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The enemy army flees. This is a
That's
clear
a solid deal right there. If anyone hasn't
like,
played that game, that is it's worth the full price.
20 dings for the Final Cut.
Oh yeah, no, that's 100% worth it.
honorable,
Oh my god.
glorious victory.
Hey, come on, man. Right. This is gonna have to be the last one for the evening. Captain Edward, do your stuff.
That's a slightly late one tonight as well.
Yeah, slightly late one. Still managed to get. I feel like every turn's had like 2 or 3 battles. We have taken a settlement in this one as well. Have we taken 2, or have we just taken 1?
Oh, I don't think we've taken enough though. I haven't
Oh no,
taken
definitely
enough.
not. I really don't think it's gonna happen this time around. But we've still smashed everybody. We just haven't taken the required number of settlements. Let's have a look. Let's get everyone in here. And then let's get this lot in there. 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 Put you there.
Totally forgot that there's actually there's like an add-on DLC daily for Outer Wilds that I need to get around to playing because
Yeah.
that would be class. I can imagine. It's one of those things where I enjoyed the original game so much that I have been like just completely blinkered to this add-on because I just don't want, I want to go in completely blind
Yeah.
with with zero spoilers, because that's just how this kind of game works. Because, well, I'm assuming, I don't know, because I've obviously just shut myself off from any information about it, but because the original game was so much about just discovery, and obviously once you know the solutions to everything, it's all very easy. In that respect, it's always best to go in blind, because if you strip if you looked at any walkthrough or solution for that game, you're just taking away your opportunity to experience it.
Yeah.
So you're stripping yourself of the fun of this is why I wouldn't stream that game. It wouldn't be worthwhile streaming, because it's not a sort of shared experience. There's not emergent gameplay that's going to come from it. There is a way to play and solve this game, solve the puzzles and complete this game. So if you see someone else do it first, or look at a walkthrough or anything like that, you've taken out the core gameplay element of it. The part of the game that you're actually playing.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this add-on has the same kind of exploration and discovery. And if it does, that means I can't find out anything about it beforehand, because, well, I deserve the enjoyment that could be reaped from playing it completely blind with no notions of what goes on.
So I didn't realize, but we've upgraded this castle to have cannon towers, and we've just been obliterating them as they come in. Lots of fun. So I'm just going to let this run on high speed. If any of them make it through the wall, they get shot. Yeah.
Super high speed cannon mode.
Yep. Super high speed cannon mode.
The enemy general flees like the coward he is.
I feel that's how a Virtua Fighter round would start. Do you remember those old Virtua Fighter games where it's
everything's super echo,
and the weird voice they had, that voice you just did reminded me of it, was round one. Yeah. And when someone dies, I died.
Yeah.
I miss those. Played a couple of good games on stream this week. Was it Formula Retro Racing, which was full on Virtua
Formula
Racer,
Retro Racing Extreme.
And then it would have a car whooshing past noise, yeah, it had strong vibes of that era. I mean, obviously it's called Formula Retro Racing, you know exactly what you're getting into. Good fun though, modern version of Virtua Racer. And also was having a go of Lone McLonegan, a humorous point and click adventure game where you're a cowboy who wants to be the most notorious cowboy in all the land. And what was the name of his antagonist? Something McBad or something. It's it's a very dumb, silly sense of humor where you're you're going up to people and talking about robbing the bank, or you're asking the guy who works at the bank about the safe, and the guy's come on, we know you're trying to rob the bank. Don't ask me about
Our men are winning the battle.
weaknesses in the safe.
This, we will smash the enemy.
It's a good giggle. Obviously,
they have lost half
much smaller production than something like Disco Elysium, so none of it's voiced. But a good giggle. I mean, I think like I said, stuff doesn't need to be voiced. You can still portray humor in point and click adventures without voiced dialogue. But obviously, since Discord sort of committed to having some of it voiced, it almost felt like all of it needed to be.
Which, of course, it is now.
It is, yeah, exactly. But yeah, a couple of canny wee games that I would recommend checking out to the kind of, to people who are into that kind of crack on. If you liked your old school racers from back in the day, like Virtua Racer, then Formula Retro Racing is worth checking out. And if you're the kind of person that likes point and click adventures, then Lone McLonegan is a mood, as the kids are saying. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm using that right. I'm too old for this shit. Yeah, two decent games, and hopefully next weekend the demo disc stream might be back. It's pending this week how it goes, but hopefully should be able to put together something for next weekend.
Pending whether or not you're out on parole next week.
Whether or not I was gonna say pending or not those victims come forward. That sounds awful.
That sounds really bad. That.
Yeah, that sounds like there's too many gaps in that for your brain to fill in, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I don't know why parole sounded quite innocuous, but when I said victims coming forward, that sounded way worse. There are no victims. They're not. No one will be coming forward. The stream should go ahead next weekend. If it's just about putting it together, checking that the games to feature still have demos, and that the and that they work, enough to stream them, and also just putting the word out. That's I think that's an important part of it. Just getting the word out there enough. Like if we're gonna showcase like five different indie games,
I must inform you, we cannot agree.
don't really want to just like tell everyone 5 minutes before we do it. Like, I think as a service, and out of respect to the people who've spent the time making these games and who deserve the exposure, then I don't like to do these streams unless I've sort of spent at least the week beforehand letting people know and building up to it, so that both like devs and potential players know that it's going to happen. So obviously if it all works and we can, then yeah, it'll happen.
Yes, my lord.
But just to make sure everyone knows about it.
I'm at war with France right now.
If you're not, you should be.
Oh, I feel like I am.
I feel like I'm at war with France. Like, is that like a start of a Doctor joke? Doctor, I feel like I'm at war with France.
Orders.
You are, you silly bugger. Oh, alright, fair enough.
Those Doctor jokes are proper pants on. Like, Doctor, I feel like a bridge. What's come over you today? Hey. Like,
My lord. Sire.
those are like the kind of jokes featured in like 1001 joke book you get from like pants relatives,
From pants relatives.
Like relatives you don't really know, and you're like, like the Christmas present your mom has to remind you you've got because it didn't look impressive wrapped up, and you just ignored it. And they're like, and we've got this present from Uncle so and so, who is probably not actually an uncle. It's just like a friend of your parents.
Yeah.
What's this? 1001 Doctor jokes, which like it's one of those books that has the price on the barcode, so you can't even peel it off, and it's like $2.99 paperback 1001 jokes book, which has had so many iterations. Like no one owns the right to these. You can literally just copy that book as long as you change like 5 of the 1001 jokes. You can argue it's original and not a copy of something else. You know, they do that with maps as well. Like, they do stuff like put fake places on maps so they can tell if someone's copied their maps.
Right.
They're called paper towns. So they're towns that don't really exist, and if you go to the location where they would exist, you'll actually find nothing. And it's kind of like a watermark for map makers to use.
Okay.
It's like copyright. So like you can be like, haha, you mugs, we can see you've copied our map because this town doesn't exist, and we put it in as a trap to see who was copying us. Got ya. I mean, I feel worse for the people who actually like are like, that place looks nice, let's go. Back in, and they get there and it's like a crossroads, essentially. This is what a lot of them are. They're obviously just where two like large sections of motorway might meet. Well, not motorway, like rural roads. They don't put them on motorways because they're quite important and used a lot. Yeah. It's a pretty clever ploy by the map makers. Not so much now. I imagine you just take a photo of the Earth from space and go, there you go. And it's all very accessible to everyone.
To trade, we must first find fleet ready, sire. Yes, sir.
Alright,
Your
what's
will,
the
sire.
plan, Storm?
By your command.
Ugh, why does France have like insane numbers of troops
As you
everywhere?
wish. We have marched our limit today.
Tell you
sire.
why, because they haven't had to do any
Continuing
fighting
tomorrow,
the
sire.
entire game. They've just sat there whilst I've soaked it
Only
all up.
my lord,
Ships ready.
it's okay. You're not my target.
Right, I'm gonna leave it there. I think
That's-
that's a reasonable place to stop. We've managed to get into Italy. Got a relatively big army. Gonna go over and smash the rest of the Holy Roman Empire.
We've managed to conquer what the Americans would call bologna for some reason. They don't, though. You know, they don't. I think they call the town Bologna, but the meat bologna.
Walk
Yeah, that
in the
makes
light.
all the sense in the world.
I
Aye.
deal with matters of spirit.
Mind
But
you,
yes.
we can't say shit about the places we
No.
named in the UK. Don't try and read the names of anywhere in the UK. It doesn't make any sense.
We don't make any sense when it comes
Nope.
to pronunciation of things and spellings of things, but it's all part of the fun.
Keep them guessing.
Yep. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. A little bit of a shorter stream tonight, a little bit later, but couldn't be helped. Hopefully you've had a bit of fun listening to more absolute
Behind
nonsense.
nonsense stories of this shit. Oh, I'll have more next week, man. I'll have more. That's why I like these streams for. It's just like it's like smooth. It's like the smooth jazz of streaming. It's just random shit that sounds awful.
It's like cricket commentary, isn't it? Where like they're not even talking about the game; they're just literally talking about what they did on the weekend.
that's our kind of. I think that's our wheelhouse, though. I think that's our strength. Look, when like, as I said, we're too old for this shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not zany. We're not going to be like seeing how many fucking slices of cheese we can fit in our mouth on streams. Like, we've got our long form experimental stream where we try and conquer medieval Europe and maybe learn something and chat shit on a Friday night.
Yeah.
I mean, in the future, we're going to have to work out what we do with this slot once we've not conquered medieval Europe, because I feel that's the sort of progression we're going to. But I would like ideas on a postcard, really. I think we've I think the cricket commentary Friday night format should stay, but there'll be some other footage going on in the background rather than like nights and shit.
Hail my king.
Yeah.
Yes. Hail my king. Hail
Yeah,
my
no, sounds
king.
good. Well, thanks a lot for joining us, and obviously we'll be around next week. Follow us on the various social medias, in particular Twitter, and join the Discord channel as well. They're
Links to
probably
that
the two best ones.
on the socials. Yeah,
Yeah.
Twitter.com is the name of Twitter's URL.
Yeah, thanks for pointing out what the Twitter URL
if you
is.
didn't happen to know, this is why we can't do it later. It's past our bedtime.
It's
We've
a
already
new
had
social media site called Twitter. The
Right, so
website
there's a
is
social media website
twitter.com,
called
guys.
Twitter. It's
Just in case you've
twitter.com.
not heard of it.
We're Indie Bandits on it, so check us out on there. Links to the appropriate shiz is on there. and all the other socials were also Indie Bandits on them. Just look for Indie Bandits. You'll find us. You'll
Yep.
find us. But the links to the Discord, which is always awkward because Discord doesn't let you do like vanity URLs. Links to that can be found on our socials. So socials first, then Discord, and then you can chat about indie games and shit with us.
And just make sure you make a note of that website, twitter.com as well.
Twitter.com. If you're looking
Yeah.
for Twitter, it's at twitter.com. Class.
Right, yo. Catch you in the next one.
Hurrah.com.